pretty good grades for my GCSEs, nobody said A-levels would be any easier. I ended up going into college and the first exam I took, I got a D. I got a grade D. This was my first psychology exam. Bear in mind, I never did psychology before, so obviously I wasn't going to get too good of a grade. Now I'm in the position 1.5 years later and I am getting A stars in all my exams, all my in-class tests, all my assessments. I'm going to tell you exactly how I went from getting a grade D to getting an A star, and this can be applicable to any of your subjects. Bearing in mind the A levels I take is business, law and psychology. The two that I really was struggling with, to be honest, were business and psychology, and I was able to get them both to A's and A stars. They're all quite essay based subjects. The tips I'm going to tell you today is suitable for every single subject. So if I can do it, you can do it, because I went from being a pretty average student to a straight A and A star. First of all, let's break down the specific revision techniques I used. And not only was I able to get my grade up to an A star, I was also able to only do this while studying less than 6 hours a day. And trust me, you don't have to be studying 6 hours a day to get an A star. So the main techniques that I used is active recall. So using flashcards. Oh my gosh, flashcards are my savior. Flashcards are the #1 best thing to exist in the revision world, in my opinion. Then the Feyman technique. That is another #1 technique. Spaced repetition. So active recall in combination with spaced repetition. Scrap note-taking, because that doesn't work for me. Rewriting notes from a textbook, rewriting notes from a presentation does not work. And then exam technique mastery, doing past papers, learning from my mistakes, looking at examiner reports, looking at the mark schemes, improving my answers. So first of all, let's talk about exactly how I revise. What I recommend you to do, if you are in year 12, if you are about to start college, then make sure that at the end of each day, at the end of each college day, you go home and you just make flashcards, or you make a mind map out of what you have learned. This is going to be so advantageous for you in the future. You are going to thank yourself, because if you're making the revision resources now, all you have to worry about in the future when your A levels are coming up is using those resources. So what I did is every day when I came back home from college, I would make flashcards on what I learned, or the topics I learned that day. Then I know that having all these materials can also be overwhelming. So what I did was every time my teacher would tell me I have an exam or I have a test coming up, I would make sure that I give myself enough time to be able to go through all the flashcards, make sure that I can actively recall them without any problems. Now, it's really crucial that you understand how much subtopics you have in one topic. So for example, in psychology, you might be doing schizophrenia. Schizophrenia is the topic, but how much subtopics are within schizophrenia? Once you have that, you break down how much there are. So there's usually around 6 to 7 in each topic in psychology. I need at least 1 week to be able to go through all the flashcards. This is why it's not really possible with this method to revise the night before, because you're just not going to be able to fit in all the knowledge in that small amount of time. A week gives me enough time to go through one flashcard one day, and then the second day I go through the second topic, third day I go through the third topic. But here is the key point. When you have your first day, so you have your first day of the week, Monday, you go through topic 1, I don't know, classification of schizophrenia. And the next day, you don't just move on to the next topic, you go over classification of schizophrenia again. So day 1, do topic 1. Day 2, you're going to go back over topic 1 and do topic 2. Day 3, you're going to go back over topic 2, and then you're going to go over topic 4. Next day, you're going to go over topic 4 and then 5. And at the end of the week period, when you have gone through all the flashcards, you're going to just do all the flashcards, and you should be able to go through them just like this. Because by repeating the flashcard the next day after you've learned it the first day, that is how active recall works. And this way you are actively bringing that information back into your short-term memory, training your brain how you can pick out certain information from your long-term memory for a specific purpose or for a specific question. Now, another thing with flashcards is I like to teach the flashcards. So when I'm going through the flashcards, I literally get up, I have my whiteboard up, and as I'm going through the flashcards, I'm also writing on my whiteboard. I'm pretending that I'm teaching these flashcards to another student, to another person. And this is called the Feyman Technique, where you literally explain it as if you're explaining it to a 5-year-old. This way you're making it so simple for yourself to understand that it's going to be much easier for you to recall and be able to understand the whole concept of a topic. So once we've gone through all the content in that topic, within that week span, we've done our flashcards, we've done our Feyman technique, we've done our active recall, exam technique. Take everything that you learned, take all that knowledge, and do past paper questions. But don't just do any past paper questions. Find that exact topic that you have revised and do past paper questions of that. Not only is it really important to understand what the structure of the questions is going to be like, it's so important to understand what the examiner wants from you. And you're going to learn this by reading examiner reports and the mark scheme. Familiarizing yourself with the question and how these questions are structured is very important for you to succeed in the exams, because at the end of the day, it's the exams that really matter. Things I love to do in combination with all the flashcards and the active recall, I blurt everything that I remember from a topic onto a whiteboard and see how much I can actually retain of that information. Because even with flashcards, you've got the questions there to prompt you. But in an exam scenario, again, yes, you have the question, but you don't have the specific question to prompt you to give a specific answer. So you need to be able to recall all the information without even having the cues of the flashcard cue questions to prompt you. These big essay questions are only going to give you a tiny little sentence. You have to recall 16 marks worth of information. You have no other questions to prompt you, no other cues to prompt you. I mean, this is why blurting is another one of my favorite techniques, because you are putting everything onto a whiteboard or everything onto a piece of paper that you remember, and then what you're going to do after that, go in with a different color pen, different color whiteboard pen, different color ballpoint pen, and fill in the gaps. And this active recognition of your mistakes is going to make it more likely that you remember it. So that is how I pretty much revise for all my subjects. For some of them I do more blurting, for some of them I do flashcards more, for some of them I do exam questions more, but it's all about understanding what the examiner wants from you, understanding the topic, and being able to recall it in large chunks without any cues there to help you. Now, it's all good in saying this is how I revise, go and do it, because it's not always going to work for you. You have to find which methods work for you, and I always repeat this in all my studying videos. You have to see exactly which methods are working for you and how you best remember information. However, one thing that I think everybody has to kind of get good at is exam technique and knowing what the examiner wants for you, knowing exactly what question works for you, and also reading those examiner reports. The reason why I think that reading examiner reports is really, really important is because you understand what the examiner is looking for. What mistakes did other students make, and therefore you are learning from those other students' mistakes, making sure you are not going to make the same thing. Now, these are things that I did apart from revision to help me get to an A star. Educating myself and deepening myself into the topics outside of college. So for example, for psychology, I read so much psychology books. I listened to so much Diary of the CEO podcasts. And not only is that really good because you're widening your knowledge of a particular topic or subject, it also acts as revision in itself. The amount of times that I've been listening to a podcast and they start to talk about something which I learned in psychology already, it was literally like revision. I was revisiting that topic, and then subconsciously in my brain, I was going through that topic, revisiting it, explaining it to myself again after hearing it being mentioned in a book or in a podcast. Another way, watching YouTube videos, constantly reinforcing that knowledge into your everyday life. Let's say you're having a discussion with your friends or with your parents. It can seem embarrassing, but this is what you have to do. Literally, if they bring up a topic that you learn about in psychology, or you learn about in law, or you learn about in business, just take a moment right there to explain everything that you know about that topic. Embrace your knowledge and embrace the fact that you know more on this topic than another person, and you want to show that knowledge and you want to embrace that knowledge and reinforce that knowledge to yourself. It doesn't even have to be in a conversation with another person. Maybe you're walking around on the street, you see a stranger bump into another stranger. What can you do? Straight away, my mind goes back to battery. What's the AR for battery? Application of unlawful force. What's a key case which supports AR for battery? Thomas. What's the point of law in Thomas? You can apply unlawful force through clothing, not just through skin-to-skin contact. You are just racking your brain and constantly using that information. And that constant use, that constant revisiting, that constant repurposing of the information is what's going to make it so easy for you to recall in that exam scenario. And the last thing I just want to mention is mindset. Mindset is so key, because if you are not confident in yourself, if you do not believe that you can get to an A star, if your mindset is that, oh, I can get a B and that's okay, you're not going to get anywhere. Because unless you aim for the stars, you won't get anywhere near them. Whereas if you aim for the A star, if you aim for the stars, at least you're going to land among the stars. You're going to land near the stars. So maybe you won't get an A star, but maybe you'll get an A. Maybe you're at a D right now and you think that, oh my gosh, I'll never be able to get any higher than a D. If you aim for the A star, you have a much higher chance of getting maybe a B or a C, which is much better than a D. So make sure that you are not limiting yourself. Even if you are at an A already and you're like, oh, that's good enough. No. Don't let yourself fall into that mindset. Don't let yourself fall into the trap, because nothing is ever good enough until it is 100%. When you are getting the A grade, look at what mistakes you made. How can you improve? How can you get 100% on your exam next time? Not 90%, not 80%. How can you get 100%? Constantly looking for ways to improve yourself is what is going to make you pretty much guaranteed an A-star student. So yeah, those are my key tips, a little summary of how I went from getting a D to an A-star. It's really about submerging yourself into the subject and putting in your all and sacrificing the time, putting in the effort, because I'm sorry, you're not going to get anywhere if you do not put in the effort and make some sacrifices. But thank you guys so much for watching. Please put in the comments down below any types of videos that you'd like to see. I respond to all comments, I like all comments, and yeah, have a great day. Bye.